froggy. Okay, so my video is, what is the best camera to use for YouTube and for vlogging? And what I've got here is I've got my GoPro 8 and my iPhone 14 Pro Max. So here's a comparison, and the point is, which one is best? Now I've got also at home, I've got a drawer full of video cameras, camcorders. I've got a Canon 40D, a Canon 7D, and I can't use either of them.
I seen it when there was no water.
Can't use either of them for what I'm gonna, for YouTube. I can't use either of those for YouTube, my 7D or my Canon 40, because I can't hook them up to my computer. So if I wanted to use them for in-house, I can't. The 7D, the EOS software only doesn't work actually with the 7D, because it shows the camera settings on the screen. Morning. And I'm 67 years old, and my 7D is just too hard to carry, too hard to point and shoot. It's best, I can use it with a tripod, but I can't hold it still enough to get a good video with it. And it still uses, I think it's compact discs, not compact discs, but the older version of SD cards. So I guess it might be a compact disc. Anyway, Martin. Anyway, as I was saying, my 7D, my 40D are really too heavy to hold. The lens is way too much, the body's way too much. It's a pain in the butt. I could use a monopod or a tripod, but that's just something else heavy to carry. And when I bought them, I was in pretty good health, and then my health went down, and now my health is a lot better, and I can hold stuff relatively stable. So you can see how high the water is out there. So with this Osmo DJI, the Osmo 3, I can get relatively good stabilization on the iPhone, which I can't really do hand holding it, which is why most of my videos I'm standing still. Got a couple big birds out here. I don't know what those are. Those are the biggest birds I've ever seen. Let's go over here. You gotta watch out here when you cross the street, because they'll run over you with no bikes. I don't know what those are. Anybody know? They look like storks. Not storks, but white pelicans. That's my guess. And I'm not going down there because that's a long walk through a lot of grass. That looks like a pair of white pelicans. They migrate to Texas in the winter, up from Canada, Michigan, you know. So, back to your question, what's the best camera for videoing? And I'm going to tell you, and it's probably going to surprise that because there is a clear winner. And it's the camera you have with you. I don't care about whether it's a Canon R50 or a Nikon or a Sony, an iPhone, or an antique GoPro 8. It's the camera you got with you. Because if you don't have a camera, you can't get the picture. And that's why a lot of people who go viral are the ones that just pull out their iPhone and start recording. So you can go around, and I've done it. I spent a lot of money on that 7D when it came out new. But 10 years later, it's obsolete. Can't even hook it up to a computer. So it's good for taking, it's still good for doing weddings and photos and portraits, and even for doing outside photography if you want to haul around a bunch of tripods and monopods and lenses. And I'm too old for that. So don't let the 10 best list for vlogging and for YouTube get in your way of recording with what you have. So I can tell you this, there isn't a camera by Sony or Canon that's as good as my iPhone. And there ain't one cheaper either. And you say, but my iPhone costs $1,000. Oh yeah, it's a computer. Your camera's not a computer. Your camera, oh, it has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, but it can only all hook up to a computer or your phone. And you can't carry that camera everywhere you go. You can't take it into some venues because they won't allow it. They allow iPhones everywhere. You can get a GoPro in anywhere too. And I can stick this GoPro around my neck and I can record for an hour. And I may see something I didn't see while I was walking along. So you can't surf the internet on your camera, on your Canon, on your Sony, on your Nikon. You just can't do it. So that's why when somebody asks me what's the best camera you can get for vlogging or for YouTube, the answer is the camera in your pocket. And you can put a GoPro in your pocket, but you're not going to get a Sony in your pocket, and you're not going to get a Nikon in your pocket, and you're not going to get a Canon. And there are the good Canons that will really do what you want to do are over $1,000, because they only put the minimum stuff on their $600 cameras. Now, if you want to do an action video, riding a bicycle, snowboarding, there's nothing to beat a GoPro. And you can't really hold a DJI Osmo while you're skiing. Well, I suppose you could if you rigged it up, but it's hard to get a gimbal on while you're skiing or you're biking or something like that. So, but you could. So, but I can stick this gimbal in my pocket. I can't put a Canon in my pocket. Another thing, I have to have an iPhone. You almost have to have a smartphone these days to do anything. And the cameras on an iPhone are better than the camera for video on my old Canon. They're recording in the same frames, the same sound. They'll do HDR, and 80% of the people watching your videos won't care about the difference. A lot of people, these people that do the slick down $1,000 thumbnails and are running around with $3,000-$4,000 cameras and audio systems, and they're basically a television production company. But you don't need to do that. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to spend another $1,000 on a camera. It's going to be obsolete in 10 years. I have to spend $1,000 on a phone every 4 or 5 years. And this phone will last me 4 years if I don't drop it in the toilet or break it. And that's my rant for today. The best camera is the camera you got with you with a battery. Morning. How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Great.
Get any bobcats?
I haven't seen any.
Yeah, I didn't see any today.
They're usually up this way a little bit.
Yeah. Have a good one.
You too. You know, you can do that. Another thing, I can control this GoPro from my phone, and I can record and not even really know I'm recording. And bad part about the GoPro is sometimes it's not recording and you don't know it, but if you use your preview on your camera you can tell. But bottom line is, I can surf the internet, I can use a calculator, I can text, I can phone, excuse me, I can do a multitude of tasks with my iPhone that I can't do with a camera. Another thing, you people talk about resolution and production value, and I saw, now I've been watching TV since 1959, probably longer. When I was a kid, we watched silent movies on TV. We watched Godzilla with voiceovers. We watched The Three Stooges, which was probably the best trick photography at the time. The Birds, all of that stuff. you had to have the ability and the imagination to suspend belief and watch a soap opera that was performed live and believe it was just as good as a real filmed in a real house and not on a stage. Nowadays you got this, you know, and let's talk about the Lord of the Rings, you know, because it was a Lord of the Rings and Star Wars broke all the rules for CGI and for special effects, and just transformed the movie making industry. But 90% of Lord of the Rings, the first two movies, is real film. It's not all CGI. It's miniatures, it's landscapes, it's sets, it's real photography. Fast forward, the infamous Rings of Power, it's CGI. It's almost all CGI, and the sets aren't that good. Now, I was watching a soap opera the other day, and it was obviously in 4K or something like that. I don't have TV anymore, so I was at the doctor's office watching this soap opera, and you could see the pores on their face, and they were in a room that looked like a house. But if I was in that house, I couldn't see as good as the camera. So it looked unreal to me. It's just too good. And I've got bad eyes. I've had cataract surgery. So the idea that super zoomed in high definition video is better than 4K. I mean, not 4K, but 1080p or film. It's just not true, because it's too real. It's like if you were standing right next to somebody and looking at their pores, you seen the blackheads on their face, or their 5 o'clock shadow, or a pimple that's covered up poorly with makeup. That's why, here I go again, more pixels and more definition is not necessarily better. And CGI, I'm sorry, I'd rather watch a cartoon than watch a bad actor standing in front of a green screen of a fantasy landscape that whoever made the landscape in their computer obviously doesn't know anything about shadows or perspective or anything like that. So I think it's good if you want to make a cartoon in CGI, but if you want to substitute CGI for something real, I don't think it's a good idea. I think the orcs look better in Lord of the Rings than they did in The Hobbit. It's just 10 times better. Now, with the big battle scenes, obviously you can't get 10,000 people on horseback. You can't get 20,000 orcs. but they invented a software program that did the trick. And I've seen it also in some Chinese productions. I think the final Lord of the Rings movie, Return of the King, used probably 10 times as much CGI as the Fellowship. And you can tell, I can tell the dwarf that played Frodo, Sam, Pippin, and Merry when they do the long shots and stuff like that. And you can tell they're screen doubles. I think probably the fakest part in the Fellowship was the Dwarf City when all the golems, when all the goblins were climbing up the pillars and stuff. Now that's how Tolkien described it, and it, it's true to Tolkien, but it just kind of looks fake and hokey, climbing down a pillar, defying gravity like they're geckos or something. But that's neither here nor there. My point is, you can't get a picture of something spontaneous if you ever run back to your car to get a camera. And I'm sorry, some of this gimmicky stuff they're putting up on YouTube, I just don't like it. I don't like the idea of walking up to somebody and give them a bunch of money just so you can make a video go viral. And you're basically using them and their misfortune. But that's just me. I think charity is something you do for charity's sake and not for economics. And that's pretty much all I got. Now I'm gonna have a hard time learning how to, what is it, double camera? What is it? Different two camera captures. I'm not sure how I'm gonna edit this, but this will give me a chance to work with sound and camera angles. You can't check your camera while you're jogging. You can check your cell phone and read a text because you just did it. So this is the 5 mile mark, and maybe my next video probably, I want to go out to the end. I haven't been out to the end for years, but it's a really long walk, and I don't know, maybe I can drive up through that development and use their access to the park from there, and well, I don't have to walk all that. But since it's nice and cool, I might do that. This is the part of the park you haven't seen. So let me know what your favorite camera is. I've done a lot of photography and stuff, and I've done a lot of videos, and I've got a drawer full of videotapes that if I ever want to look at them again, I have to hook the camera up to the television or watch it through the little screen on the monitor. So I may have a video on how to capture video, how to digitize my videotapes, camcorder tapes. Also, I have a 1933 Chicago World's Fair recording of my grandmother and 2 aunts singing that I'd like to get remastered. And my other camera just went off for some reason. Maybe it ran out of battery. Probably did. It's not standard. I wonder if that's good for. We'll see. Yeah, the battery's low on my GoPro. That's the bad thing about GoPros. But here again, the money shots don't usually take an hour. And I don't make hour-long videos. Howdy. I don't like to record people without their permission. Those joggers did something 90% of the bikers don't do, and they warned me that they're passing, which is what you're supposed to do. The bikers very rarely do that. In fact, I had 3 of them just skim right by me. If I'd have stuck my elbow out, they'd have knocked it off. This gimbal is kind of goofy, but here again, most of my videos, I'm not going to be walking. You can see they've come out here with a, what do you call those things? Mulcher. That, you know, for all the dirt they tilled up, they didn't mulch very much back. They probably got paid a lot of money for very little work. And they probably tore the environment up more than anything. Because really, you know, they'd have been better off bringing in a fire truck, set the thing on fire and burning it up. A lot of stuff lives in Deadwood. That's why you got all these armadillos out here all the time, getting all the bugs. It does look better a little bit. There's that tree that fell down the other day. Well, when the wind comes, a lot of these trees fall. It's not very safe to be out here when it's windy. I always look up when I'm walking. Anyway, that's all for today. Adios.